You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Roy, you know that moment when you're out watching puck and the server comes over and asks the table, "What can I get you guys?" And everyone freezes up? You know what you should do?
What should I do, Mike?
You've got to have some confidence.
Ooh.
Or as Jägermeister calls it, shotfidence.
I love it.
If everyone's struggling, take control. Just order for the whole table a round of ice-cold Jägermeister shots. Damn, that's cold. Because apparently, we've all been drinking Jägermeister wrong.
Well, how should we be drinking it?
We should be drinking it ice-cold. At 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Roy, like Jägermeister, what else is infinitely better ice cold?
The sport of hockey, Mike.
It's in the name. It's ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Yes, regular hockey, not as great.
Not floor hockey.
Ice hockey, real good.
Damn right.
Wherever you are, if you're hanging with friends or at the bar, call the shots. Cheers with ice-cold shots of Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold.
And remember to check Jägermeister out at DraftKingsXJägermeister.com.
Drink responsibly. Jägermeister liqueur, 35% alcohol by volume. Imported by Mass Jägermeister, U.S., White Plains, New York.
Shotfidence.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
I wanted to ask the fans of the champion Florida Panthers in the room a question. 4 unanswered goals allowed against the Islanders. They've lost a few games. They allowed 3 goals in the third period to the Bruins. And I'm here to ask you if you believe vibes and a Marchand haunting have arrived for the Florida Panthers because Mike Ryan has been worried that trading for this particular man. Roy, you're shaking your head no.
It's the dumbest thing
Vibes are fine with the Panthers. In Pantherland, we're doing great, Dan.
I don't think it's the dumbest thing. I think injecting Brad Marchand, but he's not really playing. So I don't think that's what's happening. I think what's happening here is Aaron Ekblad, because of performance enhancers, turned into a really good player for Florida. And we've seen these dips in form from Florida this season when Aaron Ekblad is not at his performance-enhancing best. And right now, they miss Aaron Ekblad. And that's what's happening. Also, this is a natural dip in form after they set the world on fire. And yeah, they've lost 3 out of 4. In the middle of that, they beat Toronto in Toronto, a comeback victory in its own right against a team that's in the division right now that's presently chasing them. This is exactly where you want this dip to happen in the season.
Yeah, they just need to cheat a little bit to get good.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. I do get a little angry in the group chat, and this is me like coming out anti-homers. Like, well, yeah, shocking that Aaron Ekblad's out, and we suffer, and this is all because Aaron Ekblad's out. But you have to kind of acknowledge that Aaron Ekblad was what you think he is because of clearly performance enhancers.
Could you theoretically schedule it so you only lose one guy on a line at a time with performance-enhancing drug suspensions? So, like, you get, like, a system going where, like, okay, Ekblad's going to be out 20, and then when he comes back, hopefully we don't get caught, but if we get caught, this other guy will be out 20, but Ekblad will be back, and he'll be juicing again, and we'll be fine. And you just kind of, like, start scheduling the cycles possibly. You never want any of your guys to get caught, but if they do, you make sure they're getting caught at different times.
So Marchand will probably be back before the playoffs. That's the expectation. Kachuk will return with the playoffs. Ekblad's suspension carries him into 2 games into the postseason, and then Ekblad is back. So during the postseason, you're going to have those 3 talents essentially all coming into your lineup around the same time, and you would imagine that the form will be much better when the playoffs roll around for the Panthers.
And added to that is the injury of Dmitry Kulikov, who got hurt in the Islanders game last night, so they went down a defenseman.
But I am shocking because the Panthers, their whole thing is if they have a 2-goal lead, they never lose that game in regulation, and now we've seen it. And you can understand the emotion of the Bruins one, and Florida was just so hot there that it had to give out at a certain time. But the Islanders' loss is pretty troubling. This is a pretty difficult road stretch. Probably the most difficult stretch in their calendar when it comes to travel, quick turnarounds, and you certainly don't want to have a less deeper team for it. But I know I'm the guy that originated the Marchand take. It's something to keep an eye on. But I think this has more to do with Ekblad and the current congestion of their schedule.
I mean, this schedule sucks. I mean, that was the first of 5 back-to-backs for the rest of the season for the Panthers. So, yeah, it's not really good.
There is a chance that Toronto catches
players.
them in this division, despite that result that Florida had directly against Toronto, and that'll make it interesting in the playoffs. Right now, most people have their eye on the Kachuk brothers potentially playing in the first round. It may not get to that point if the Cats don't win their division.
One of the interesting things about sports that I'm always sort of like, how do we remain consistent on this one, is a title gets vacated in college sports because of some cheating, and it doesn't actually matter. The title was won. We saw it won. Vacating it is not a thing. I don't know who has to cheat on your team in order to stain it in a way that actually stains the championship and makes anyone go back and take away the Marlins championship because Pudge Rodriguez, lost 40 pounds one offseason.
I know what you're doing. We don't know when this happened with Ekblad.
No, you don't know what I'm doing. I'm leading over to the Buffalo Bills, who just now signed 2 free agents. And the first thing that they're doing with those 2 free agents is announcing the apology of they're both out for 6 games for performance enhancers to start their Bills career. One of them on a 1-year deal, one of them on a 3-year deal. The 3-year deal, they were going to take the suspension no matter what and keep the guy. But if they had known the other player was a performance enhancer, they say publicly they never would have given him the contract. And so what I'm asking you is where the entanglements on all these moralities get. When do you start actually using any of this stuff to stain the team accomplishments? Or do you just, when Jessica smears you with Ekblad's a cheater, so when the cheater gets back.
All right, so you went exactly where I thought you were going to go. Ekblad was a different player in the postseason last year than he was this regular season. It was a pretty clear and obvious night and day to the point that you're asking, man, was he just really, really hurt during the postseason? Last 2 postseasons, Aaron Ekblad hasn't been very good, and he certainly wasn't the player that he was before. This season in particular, it was a revelation. Yeah. I don't know when the sample was. There's that curious Islanders Reddit post that was circulating about someone just posting. I think there's a PED thing going on with the Panthers, and it's going to end up reversing the championship. That's all people have right now. Yeah. I don't know when their sample was for him to test positive for performance enhancers, but I will say this season he's looked the best he has in several seasons for Florida, and it made all the sense in the world when that press release came through.
I think the simple answer is if you're a fan of the team, when your player gets caught cheating, it's like, oh my God. Why did this happen? And how did this happen the first time he ever tried to cheat? Like, that's so weird. And then if you're not a fan of the team, always dirty, rotten cheaters,
Billy,
and everyone else is cheating.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Dan. It depends on who you are and who the team is. I am completely writing off the Panthers Stanley Cup because they're a bunch of cheaters. And I think America's with me.
What I don't like so much about it is you had those things happen at the same time. You had the Panthers.
I think Canada's with me too.
Canada is definitely with you. You had the Panthers finally taking advantage of the long-term IR that all the teams that they were chasing. Vegas beat them in a Stanley Cup because of it. The Tampa Bay Lightning eliminated them because they took advantage of it. Now all of a sudden Florida's playing that game. Then you bring in Brad Marchand, who leans into everything that they say about the Panthers and Sam Bennett and Kachuk. And now you don't really have much of a defense because at least you could say, well, we're at least better than Boston. Now we're not. And then you add the Ekblad thing. All these things happened within a couple of days. And so it's kind of like, okay, we're just embracing the dark side here.
Real Panthers fans like me and Mike and Roy and Chris, we kind of look at him like, did Marchand come down and is he like a bad influence on Ekblad? Like, because all of a sudden these things just started happening once he got there. And like, it also makes you wonder, like, we did things the right way the last couple seasons. We overtook the Tampa Bay Lightning. We overtook the Bruins. We beat McOverrated. We did all of that stuff the right, clean way. Why did Aaron have to do this now? Like, is it just to show off for his buddy Brad? Like, what's going on here? You don't know, and it kind of makes it a sad story because, again, all of this happened clean, legitimately on the up and up, and it didn't need to happen this way.
Well, I don't think you have the support of the timeline.
No, yeah.
I don't think that's how that happened.
No.
I don't think he injected himself. And
Overnight steroids?
The NHL was like,
well, the thing is,
we got you.
Here's the thing that I'm thinking, just knowing the character of Aaron Ekblad and how he's a good boy and how, again, we did this the right way. I think what happened is maybe this Brad came down here, bad boy Brad, and he wanted to impress bad boy Brad, so he did the steroids, and then he felt so guilty about it that he self-reported to the NHL, and he said, you know what? I did a thing, Commissioner Bettman. I'd like to come clean, and I'm not going to contest this at all. I'm just going to serve my suspension, and that's where we're at right now. And you know what? I think we should all commend Aaron Ekblad for doing the right thing. Thank you, Aaron, for coming clean after you did the wrong thing, self-reporting, and serving the suspension because you were peer pressured by Brad Marchand.
But in this scenario, he didn't do it for the Stanley Cup, so the Stanley Cup is not tainted.
Exactly.
He
That's
just
what I'm
did
saying.
He was like, it went off me, coach, like in that one commercial.
Right.
Self-reported.
I think that if the Panthers keep losing, Mike Ryan is going to reinvent his history and claim that Marchand was a haunted spirit who came in and poisoned the vibes. I think he is. You keep shaking your head no, Roy, but I don't know.
If this ends badly for the Panthers, Mike's going to say this.
I've
for
laid
sure.
the groundwork.
Oh, for sure.
I don't like this one bit. I don't like it because, what Billy said outside of it taking a fairly ridiculous turn was actually true. They felt like the Panthers did this the right way. They didn't take advantage of the long-term IR. They went through these evil, dastardly teams, and now it's just it is a vibe reversal that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. I like the scrappy underdog Florida Panthers that had to go through teams taking advantage of loopholes, and now they've become one.
Yeah.
Roy, why are you beaming? Why are you smiling? You're smiling, staring.
Scrappy underdog.
We haven't been an underdog in like 4 years.
Look, they're the Florida Panthers. They're a historic underdog. Yeah. They are a historic underdog.
Plus, they had the misfortune of winning the Biden Cup, which we know historically in hockey is a curse when you have that cup. Like you never go on to win the Stanley Cup. That's not the cup you want.
Every team that Mike likes is an underdog and also morally superior to every team everyone else likes.
And then if something bad happens, like, why did they have to do it? We've done things the right way.
If something bad happens, Mike can say, I knew this bad thing was going to happen, which is why I jumped off this bandwagon like the Terry Rozier, Kyle Lowry Heat bandwagon years ago. Wow. I was right the whole time. Right, Mike?
I don't like this show today.
I'm dying, man.
I was just not with it so far. And we got a terrible playoff. It looked like I was playing golf in it.
Why are they sitting in a lake?
They're not sitting in a lake.
They're just in front of the lake, Billy.
Billy,
Self-reported.
I'm really trying.
It's the island set.
You guys have been very disappointed by the golf. I don't have it on the televisions in here, so
it's over. Rory won. The playoff was +3 to +1. It was just not good. Yeah. It was just very disappointing. Like, we could have done this last night. We could have done this in the evening. This is stupid.
They should do playoff golf at a putt-putt golf course. That would be so much fun.
There's no way Rory wins that way.
Exactly.
The only way that Rory could... I wanted the drama of Rory having to make a putt.
I like Rory.
I like him
Why
too,
does everyone
but
not like
I
Rory
like him.
now?
I like him, but you wanted to see him like make a big putt given his reputation, and Spahn just made it so easy by playing so poorly that we didn't actually have to see Rory conquer demons at the Players.
Like, the story won't be at all, Rory did it. It's just going to be like, this guy took a big shit in the playoff.
He did that at 17. I didn't like it. I thought it was a bad omen that he took his pants off and took a shit at the tee box. That was not good juju.
Might as well.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Should they do playoff golf at a putt-putt course? because that is very well said by you and me, Jessica, in not caring about golf that much. But I am assuming the purists are going to be infuriated by that. They want Rory to majestically rise up today and conquer all of his doubts and not just have the other guy fart away the game.
Guys, have you seen what 17 looks like? That's essentially a mini golf thing. Like, it's a ridiculous hole.
I want all 18 to look like that, though, and then a little, a windmill maybe, a fallen over windmill.
What if we do this maybe for one tournament next year, just because there's a new Happy Gilmore coming out? Instead of like a playoff at a putt-putt, you have one natural disaster hole, right? Where you have a regular hole and then you have a collapsible set that just falls all over the green. And then you need to figure out how you play it a la Happy Gilmore.
Are any of your takes going to be rooted in reality?
Soon every hole will be a natural
just
disaster
like any
hole.
of them. Just one of them rooted in reality.
What do you mean?
Self-reported.
I'm trying to get tethered here.
Same. I'm trying to help out Dan. I'm seeing Dan, and Dan's out there, and he's looking for a lifeline, and I'm tossing them to him all day.
You keep tossing me anchors, is what you keep tossing.
There's a line attached to that anchor, though. Just grab the other end.
I'm sitting there. I'm trying to flail around. I'm trying to grab onto something, and you just keep throwing heavy things at me.
That was a fun ending, though, the Happy Gilmore. Remember? He went off the thing.
Yeah.
Rolled down
Imagine if that's how you settle the players.
Yes, but it's not serious golf analysis.
Okay, do it at the waste management
but
then.
we've got sports happening right now in our face. Like we never have.
I just said a guy pooped on the green. That didn't happen either.
Okay, but metaphorically it happened.
Metaphorically, I'm throwing anchors. I didn't do that either.
Metaphorically, you're pooping.
You're throwing anchors covered in poop at me, is what you're doing.
There's a lot of animals that live off of eating poop.
Okay,
It's
there's another one.
sustenance. You just need to know which poop to eat.
All right, excellent.
That was actually helpful.
Did you know they drop retired subway carts in New York into the water to become like reefs? Yeah. I learned that while I was in New York over the weekend. Interesting. That's fun.
Isn't there all sorts of stuff in the bottom of the ocean that's just thrown down there that becomes reefs?
Well, this is on purpose.
The
rest of it is just we're just gonna get poisoned by it.
They just drove like last week or 2 weeks ago this giant ship that they were intentionally sinking to make a giant artificial reef off the coast of something somewhere. Yeah, it drove by here right down the East Coast.
I wonder
Massive.
if do you think fish get in there and they're like, this is my room. I got this one. That's essentially what they're doing.
Yeah. Yes.
Like dibs.
Yes.
And then a bigger fish
And?
comes. And then a bigger fish comes. And it's like, no, now it's mine.
All right.
Wow. Yesterday's show was so good. It was a top 3 show.
According to
We're
Jason.
tired. You guys, we announced at the very beginning of this that no one had any material left today.
This is the truth. We all got home at 10 o'clock last night, and then we immediately, at least me, I immediately went to bed and woke up 7 hours later to come in. Yeah. I have not read anything. I have not watched anything. We emptied it all out yesterday.
I think what could have happened yesterday for Jason also is
Florida
that,
won.
Was Jason here or not? Because there was pizza here, and Jason loves pizza because he does that weird pizza thing where he spins it into a taco, and then he eats it as a round thing.
Jason doesn't just love pizza. Jason loves every single food we put in this place. No one makes a bigger plate of lunch than Jason, our director.
So if it's a good spread, Jason thinks it's a good show, is the point.
Also, he's a Florida fan, and they're a 1 seed. I think that's why he liked yesterday's show.
Okay, regardless, we don't need to relitigate whether it was or wasn't good. What we can agree on is that so far, today's has not been.
Correct.
So
I'm having a good
Full
time.
buy-in there.
we're going to get, I've got consensus on that.
Roy, you know that moment when you're out watching puck and the server comes over and asks the table, "What can I get you guys?" And everyone freezes up? You know what you should do?
What should I do, Mike?
You've got to have some confidence.
Ooh.
Or as Jägermeister calls it, shotfidence.
I love it.
If everyone's struggling, take control. Just order for the whole table a round of ice-cold Jägermeister shots. Damn, that's cold. Because apparently, we've all been drinking Jägermeister wrong.
Well, how should we be drinking it?
We should be drinking it ice cold. At 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Roy, like Jägermeister, what else is infinitely better ice cold?
The sport of hockey, Mike.
It's in the name. It's ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Yes, regular hockey, not as great.
Not floor hockey.
Ice hockey, real good.
Damn right.
Wherever you are, if you're hanging with friends or at the bar, call the shots. Cheers with ice-cold shots of Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold.
And remember to check Jägermeister out at DraftKingsXJägermeister.com.
Drink responsibly. Jägermeister liqueur, 35% alcohol by volume. Imported by Mass Jägermeister, U.S., White Plains, New York.
Shotfidence.
All right, I know I gotta do this ad read, but hold on. Let me reapply. Did you hear that? Yep, that's my new favorite lip gloss from NYX Cosmetics. Now I'm ready to talk to you. I've been a huge fan of NYX Cosmetics for many years now. In fact, I use their Thick It, Stick It brow gel every single day. So you can imagine my excitement when we recently received a special delivery to the Le Batard studios from our friends over at NYX Cosmetics. And there it was. When I opened the box, glowing, I heard the angels sing, "Ah." It's their latest lip gloss fat oil lip drip. It's NYX Cosmetics' first lip oil of its kind. This creamy lip oil will have your lips dripping with fat perks. You get all the shine of a lip gloss and none of the stickiness while experiencing 12-hour hydration. I'm usually a matte lip gloss kind of gal. My normal go-to is NYX Cosmetics lip gloss, the Lingerie XXL. But after applying the status update shade, I have found my new go-to lip gloss. Fat Oil Lip Drip has high shine finish with comfortable wear and none of the sticky texture. A lip product that's hydrating, non-sticky, and only $9? Now that's a win. Try Fat Oil Lip Drip from NYX Professional Makeup. Available in 14 universally flattering shades. Find your perfect Fat Oil Lip Drip. Shop now at nyxcosmetics.com or a retailer near you.
Howdy, folks. It's Mike Ryan. Want to responsibly speak to you about my favorite time, Miller time. Look, a lot of things are coming back in the season. MLS is back. P's and C's in the MLB. You know who puts the ML in those sports? Miller Lite. That's right, from basketball to hockey to game night. Winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the greatest tasting light beer for people like you and me who love their beer. Now's the perfect time for friends, family, and a great tasting light beer. Tastes like Miller time! And it's got taste that you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just great beer for people who love their beer. Because it's brewed for taste, it just hits different than other light beers because of simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Dan Le Batard.
I'm just here to say one thing. The Knicks are back.
Stugotz.
Tyrese Halliburton, 6 points, fraud. Everybody was like, yo, he's better than Jalen Brunson. He's better than the Knicks should have drafted him. Fraud.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
We're going to get help here from a professional comedian who I'm imagining is feeling a little broken, not just because the road is hard and the grind is hard and he's probably been in 50 hotel rooms in 39 nights, but also because his Knicks aren't quite as lovable as they used to be. And I don't know if you guys saw over the weekend, they lose to the Warriors. The Warriors are now 14-1 with Jimmy Butler. After the game, Karl Anthony Towns had been, punked by Draymond Green, who said that he hadn't played in the previous game against Jimmy Butler because he was afraid of him. He apologized for it because Karl Anthony Towns was attending a friend's funeral. And then what happens after the game, after the Knicks lose, is a bunch of Knicks are dapping up Draymond Green. And now Knicks Nation is hurting because this team is more talented than the team of the last 2 years. But it's not quite as lovable, and it's not quite as underdog either, even though I've gone from thinking they could win the championship to thinking they can't and they won't. So, Sam Morril is our senior Knicks correspondent that no one asked for. He's currently on the stand-up tour, the Errors Tour. He's got stops all over the place, U.S. and Canada through May, Columbus, Grand Rapids, Milwaukee, Madison, Des Moines, Kansas City. Go to sammorril.com for dates and tickets. Where are you now? Are you hurting from the night before? Is the road beating you down, or is it the Knicks?
A little bit of both. I've done like 25 cities in the last month and a half or so. So I'm feeling it. But yeah, that game pissed me off, man. That I was a 90s Knicks fan. That's what I grew up with. So that never would have happened with Mason Oak on the team, John Starks. That was a different type of vibe. I think the AAU ball has kind of changed how these guys are. But yeah, I thought Draymond bothers me. And you said he apologized. He didn't apologize. He gave a Draymond apology. He bothers me. The podcast he has bothers me because he brought in Baron Davis to make himself more likable. He's not likable. He's terrible at broadcasting. He lacks charisma. The way Shaq and Barkley ball bust, Draymond can't. He's not able to do that. He's like the kid who thinks he can ball bust, but then says like, your mom has cancer. And you're like, that's not a joke that she actually does have cancer. That's like his sense of humor. He sucks. And you think a guy like this, like, is he a Hall of Famer? Of course. He's a great player. He's a great defender. He's mentally ill. If he was a football player, he'd be Antonio Brown by now. He's unhinged. He has like the ego of like, it's like if Ringo Starr was the biggest dick in the Beatles, you know? Like, it's weird that Paul, George, and John are nice, and then Ringo's a dick.
I don't think you can just accuse him of being mentally ill. I think that's a bit irresponsible.
Okay, he's got all his marbles. You think he's not mentally ill?
I don't know. I don't know that. I'm not comfortable just saying that about somebody. Yeah. Certainly, the resume has a lot of behavior that's unstable on it.
Yeah, I mean, he's just upset that Rudy Gobert, it's not Rudy Gobert's fault. He keeps winning Defensive Player of the Years, and he just like puts him in a sleeper hold. That's not the behavior of someone who's got it all together. It bothered me that the Knicks dapped him up. I think if Jalen Brunson was there, it would have been a different vibe. I didn't like that.
Well, where are you right now emotionally with the Knicks? You don't like them as much as you've liked the team of the last 2 years, right?
It's tough, man. I liked the identity last year a little more of just it's hard to root for a team that doesn't play defense as well. I miss Dante and Hardenstein and Randall for sure. I mean, Randall would do stuff that would make me crazy, but you couldn't question his toughness, and I respected that. So now you're questioning this team's toughness.
Sam, I have to speak out. There's been something that someone said in like a game of telephone that has swept
not right. What
the
you're
entire
about to
production
do is
studio.
Not right. You're not. This is not good.
So I just can't unsee it now. Some people have pointed out that your mustache presently looks like the Batman logo. And I gotta say,
it's so good.
So bad on.
It is so good.
It is so dead on. I don't understand. How did you do this on purpose? How do you have the Batman logo on your face?
I don't know, man. I've not heard this, but this is I'm looking at my face, and I can kind of see it.
Sam, are you okay with us going straight up to your mouth here and just staying here as you give us your commentary with the Batman logo under your nose and above your top lip?
Yeah, as long as you're not doing this to interns in meetings, I guess this is okay.
We're comedians operating in the margins, Sam. Can someone please, who maybe is watching, Photoshop this into the little spotlight into the sky in Gotham for me? And please tweet it at me. Thank you.
So, Sam, you understand, and this part has to be hard for you as somebody who loves and cares about the Knicks the way you do.
Yeah.
Scrappy underdog, gets very loud, lovable team. Everybody was go New York, go, because it felt scrappy and Jalen Brunson was nice as an underdog. You change everybody out, you bring this team in, it's less liked, and now Knicks fans have been very loud on behalf of their team. And now they've got one that's less likable than the previous incarnations. And a loud fan base goes from hopeful to what? Like, are you sitting here saying, well, now that Mitchell Robinson is back, we can get past Cleveland and Boston?
Well, Boston's tough, man. I mean, they just don't. Al Horford is like the ageless wonder. He's 38, and he just seems like he could still guard anyone. It's crazy. And he hits the open threes. They just don't miss. Boston, so they're tough, man, and Derek White is like that X factor who just, I mean, they have a ton of great players, but he just seems to be that guy who always hits the big three, and Cleveland got better. So yeah, right as of now, no, I don't think we could beat them, but I do think we are in a place where we have more talent. I just think they have to make moves to make the team fit better. You know, like the team doesn't seem like it really fits right now. But also, they haven't really had a lot of time to play with Mitch, Jalen, like the whole team healthy. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Sam, I don't like this. I don't like hearing you. Well, you just don't. You're lacking enthusiasm for your basketball team. You already sound broken. Like for 2 years, you've been like, no, here we come. I'm hopeful. And now you sound like a different human being as our Knicks correspondent.
Are you taking solace in what's happening with Philadelphia? What's happening with Miami? Are you riding some vibes because they're down bad?
I'll tell you what hurts me about Philadelphia is that they got my guy Quentin Grimes, and he's balling. That guy can play, and we knew he could play in New York, and that's a guy we could use right now. A little energy and three ball off the bench, good defender. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't like Philly. It's fun to see them fall apart, but I mean, look, a core of Embiid and Paul George, that contract's like as bad as it gets. So that I do take some solace in them falling apart. But I don't think we're screwed. I think we have a good nucleus still, and I think Brunson is still that good that you could still build around him. But yeah, you just need to get back to that defensive identity. That's what made us good last year, is that we beat you up. So I don't feel like we're a team that teams are scared of like they were last year. Last year they were like, we got to play the Knicks. Like it was that type of thing where you knew they were going to be physical.
Sam, you're basically acknowledging that the team's not good enough, which is not an acknowledgement you've made the last couple of years. You were hopeful at every turn that you could get past even Boston. You were not at that point afraid in any way of Boston.
I never said they're not good enough. I said we don't look good enough right now. I mean, look, if we get healthy, yeah, maybe we could figure something out. I love Deuce off the bench. I love a lot of the guys we have on the team. I mean, OG is looking great right now. Bridges hit that big shot the other. We have the talent. It's just not coming together right now. But we definitely have the talent.
What did you make of Josh Hart and Tom Thibodeau mixing it up? And also, how do we stop the Riddler from poisoning Gotham's water supply?
Yeah. I can help you with the Rizzler, but I don't know much about the Riddler. But what was the first question again? Sorry.
Josh Hart and Thibodeau. I can understand how that
the clash of Hart and Thibodeau. They're arguing on the sideline.
I don't care about that. That's like they're two intense guys. It's like, they're gonna be fine. It's like when a toxic couple gets together and they scream at each other in public, but then they go home and have hot sex. That's Josh and Tibbs.
Yeah, but then that couple usually breaks up and it's very messy.
Yeah, but that's what always happens. Like Josh's next 5 years are gonna be rough. We just know. We know how it is. Like, it didn't end well for Noah or Dang. Tibbs has his guys he loves, and they give everything, and Josh will be a favorite Nick forever. But, I don't know how many years Josh can do this. I mean, he's playing 46 minutes a night and doing everything. It's not like a 46 minutes where he's just, camping out in the corner. He's like the Energizer Bunny the whole night. So I get why he's angry every once in a while. He's doing a lot. And it came out. Bridges was like, what the with all these minutes? And then he's like, no, we're fine. But they're still playing this many minutes. So I don't know.
What are your thoughts on Kendrick Perkins saying that if it were his locker room, he would have smoke with Josh Brunson and Hart? I'm sorry, Brunson and Hart for having their podcast together.
If it was Kendrick Perkins' locker room, he'd have smoked brisket in there because he's fat.
Nothing wrong with that.
He's a fat. It wouldn't be if it was his locker room. I mean, this is a guy that I feel like all his I like Kendrick Perkins, he's fine, but I feel like all his former teammates are like, shut up, The podcast, yeah, look, any podcast you do when it's not going as well, you're gonna get shit for, right? I mean, I remember Duncan Robinson's a buddy of mine. He stopped doing his podcast when he was on the bench because he's like, why am I podcasting if I'm getting benched? Makes sense, right? So when things aren't harmonious, it's weird. But at the same time, they have a self-awareness. I heard them on their podcast talking about how they're not beating the good teams, and it's it's actually nice to hear that they hear the Knicks fans, and there is a weird connection that Josh and Jalen have to Knicks Twitter and the city. So I have no issue with it. It's not like they're not practicing and working hard. Those two are the guys I'm not concerned about.
When you're analyzing the specifics of the changes in the team, because you fell in love with Hartenstein as well, Are you mad at Bridges? Are you mad at Karl Anthony Towns? How does this work in terms of where it is that your emotion is spent? Understanding that you're positive about the team and you don't want to be somebody who's negative, but you blame somebody here for this feeling less good to you, don't you?
Yeah, it's hard to blame the guys who come in. I mean, I think Bridges and Towns are good players. Towns sometimes makes me crazy on defense. I don't always feel like he's playing defense, and that's frustrating because he is a talent. Right now, he looks like he's absolutely injured. So it's hard to get as mad at him right now. But yeah, there have been periods where you're like, it is weird that we have to sit Towns and Brunson on every last play defensively. I get it because Mitch and Deuce are great defenders, but it's weird. You don't usually see that, right? And I think Bridges took a lot of the blame out of the gate because Towns was shooting the lights out, and Towns' first half was incredible. But, you know, we don't care who does that stuff in the regular season. I want to see you do that in the playoffs, and I want to see you hoop in the playoffs. So, yeah, Towns, when he's zesty and we're winning, it's funny. And then when he's zesty and we're losing, we're like, this why is he so zesty, you know?
What are you enjoying the most these days creatively? I don't know if sharpening up the tour or your podcast or your script writing is where you're pouring your energies, but what's inspiring you these days?
A lot of Knicks. I'm on the road like crazy. So we've been on a tour bus, and we've been on a tour bus for like 20 cities. I almost died before we got the tour bus because we were in a Sprinter van at like 3 a.m. and our driver fell asleep at the wheel. And that inspired me to get a tour bus. So, yeah, I don't want to die. I was watching that movie, The Substance, and I didn't like it, and it kept me awake. And that's how it saved our life, because I was like, wake up, because I was awake.
It seems like you're grinding at a way that's a bit unreasonable. Do your loved ones tell you to slow it down?
No, not really. This is how I am, I guess.
Broken?
I saw someone drew a big old dick on that tour bus, so congrats.
Someone drew a big dick. Yeah, that was in, I think, Buffalo. The Buffalo people, man.
The scarecrow.
I know. It's I will say it is.
Ra's al Ghul, damn you.
I mean, yeah, I like Buffalo people. I went on Tinder there once, and all the women looked like Artie Lang. It was pretty intense, but still fucked one of them. But still,
That's my guy. Wait, no, I want to kill you.
You are going to do something different with the mustache? Do you think self-consciously, or do you think you're going to just keep going and ride it into the sky?
No. I'll ride it through the sky. I'll ride I mean, there's worse things it could look like than a bat signal. I mean, I'll take that, you know? It's kind
no doubt.
Well, I think you should darken it to accentuate it even more, because we have spent the entire conversation giggling or smiling because all of the words are being belched out from the undercarriage of the bat signal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm all right with it. I'm gonna keep things as is, I think.
All right, Sam, you sound a bit defeated by the Knicks. I don't like to hear you this way.
I'm still positive they have the talent, but I think, yeah, I think you need Brunson back. He's the engine, man. He's everything. So hopefully he comes back healthy. That Lakers game was tough. I thought we'd get him, and then it turns into like, not only do we lose, but Jalen goes down. That was one where I was like, I forgot what city we were in, but it was like not a good. It was a finish the bottle of wine type of night. Where we're like, this.
How do you celebrate, or how did you celebrate Stephen A's big contract with ESPN?
I was so happy for him. I think he's been such a wonderful guy for years and doing it the right way. So it's nice. Hopefully he's our next president too. He seems really level-headed. We'll make Draymond VP.
Good seeing you, Sam. Thank you. Again, a reminder, the Errors Tour, upcoming dates, Columbus, Grand Rapids, Milwaukee, Madison, Des Moines, and Kansas City. His is the bus with the penis drawn on the side. Thank you, sir. I wanted to give you guys here a Rick Pitino stat because I find it fairly stunning, because we were just talking about the Belichick stuff, right? Clearly, there's something Pitino does wherever it is that he goes that is something that evolves into is going to win everywhere. And he's back in the top 10 in the sport. And you have a stat for me with the stat of the day music. Long version? You think long version? Short version?
Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Stat of the day brought to you by NYX Professional Makeup. Shop now at nyxcosmetics.com or a retailer near you. The stat of the day, Rick Pitino, the first coach to take 6 schools to the NCAA tournament?
It's not just that it's 6 schools. Why is he being applauded there? Why is
I think it was a perfect read.
Yeah, he did great.
He did a good job.
Oh, okay, so yeah.
We just make fun of people too much around here. Why can't we applaud when someone's successful?
I just wanted to know why, because I wasn't used to it.
Golf claps.
Aaron Ekblad of the day, doing the right thing.
I'm not used to the group embracing
Self-reported.
someone else's success.
I ain't cheating.
And Rick Pitino, people rooting for him now, that can't be a thing, right? That's not, can you turn that down, please? That can't be a thing, right? Where people are rooting for Rick Pitino?
I think so. Yeah. I think he's part of the nostalgia circuit, too. There's a lot of people that maybe, as the game evolved, have aged out of following the sport day to day. But Rick Pitino is like...
I know that guy.
Yeah. And he's doing it with a smaller program, and people just like to either root for brands at this time of year or one of the few recognizable faces. It's such a transient sport.
But it's not aged out, though, of this time of year. It's that the sport has become something different when you have all of the changes to it that you have. And so college basketball becomes something that is focused on intensely in March, as it always has been, but then curates to its fan base the rest of the time. And then this 1 month is an insanity of gambling. And many people are tuning in just to watch their money run up and down the court.
I think, honestly, like the casual fans need someone like a Pitino, because all of the other coaches that other than like maybe Tom Izzo, like all the other coaches that we grew up watching have now left the sports. We're like desperate for like a familiar face for the casual fans, and also the fact that he's doing it at St. John's, who has never been good in my lifetime. Like the last time they made the tournament, or the last time they won the Big East, I think was like 2001, right? Like, it's just crazy.
Mike Jarvis and them boys.
Well, but it's not. It's what is crazy is not merely that Rick Pitino is back and in the game as the vampire who never dies over 700 years. It's that he's brought back Big East basketball where we used to remember back when that was a thing, because all the coaches matter, whether it was George Thompson or Carnesecca, any of the Massimino, Rolly Massimino, like the ridiculous names from the past. The idea that he's resurrecting that conference when the SEC is all anyone's talking about is crazy. And he'll have a shot at Florida. He'll have a shot if they both make it.
College basketball is a very difficult sport to follow, even if you're a fan of it. And Rick Pitino does numbers. He is often aggregated. The social channels, if you follow all the college basketball sites that you should, and Rick Pitino is probably the person that's pushed out the most. So it's been a connection point for a lot of people throughout this season. One of the few storylines that you can get a grip on. Like I said, if you love college basketball and you have a team that you're following, it's easy to follow your own conference and the teams that you're playing. But there's so many games and so many legitimately good teams. It's not like college football. There's so much wealth distributed that to be locked in on everything this time of year, you have to be an absolute sicko.
Who are the coaches that we're talking about? Calvin Sampson and them boys, Calipari and them boys, where you're talking about just the coach is the program. The coach is the face because it's a famous coach. How many of those are left from the past? I can't believe
Huggy Bear's gone.
Pitino's still one of them. Bill Self is still wandering around.
It's just a big year for vampires in general.
Hey friends, it's Jared Bear here, and I'm here to tell you all about Boost Mobile, which is now a legit nationwide 5G network. So I must take a break from the jokes here for a second and put on my serious voice, because I would never ever joke about a 5G network that has invested billions building 5G towers across the country. Not even once. Not even if Mr. Boost Mobile himself asked me to. There is nothing funny about it. Boost Mobile is now a legit nationwide 5G network and also provides coverage across 99% of America. Seriously. Visit boostmobile.com or your nearest Boost Mobile store location to learn more. The Boost Mobile network, together with our roaming partners, covers 99% of the U.S. population. 5G speeds, not available in all areas.